Aloha gozaimasu. Alrighty then. Mitch, the slow turtle marches on.
Mitch.
Uh,
Sees he bring Mitch alive.
I want turtle meat tonight.
Jesus Christ, Luigi. I'm sipping coffee and I almost fucking spilled it. Tonight we dine in turtle meat.
Some people say it's gourmet.
They used to love it, folks. They used to love it. Yeah, let's have we had anything new on Donald? I've heard that he wants to get reinstated on Facebook, that he's been begging Zuckerberg. That's what I've read. Apparently, yeah, Elon is just fuck it. I mean, who cares? He's on Twitter. He can be on Twitter whenever he wants, because Elon reinstated him after he begged. He came on his automobile that doesn't go anywhere. And he begged. You remember when Trump went medieval on Elon in that statement, right?
I do.
Yeah. And Elon capitulated, let's say.
Donnie didn't make him beg, but Donnie is the like.
Yeah, let's be honest. Donnie probably begged.
Donnie is the kind of person who's gonna tell you, like, kiss the ring. One day I'm going to need a favor.
Never say anything positive about Sanctimonious. And he did it. I think the whole thing precipitated Elon saying something positive about Sanctimonious, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right, fuck the great Donald. How's it going, sir? It's been a while. It's been another week.
It's been another week. I'm a bit under the weather, Luigi. The viruses have hit. It's virus season.
I got my first
your first COVID.
Yeah. I'm a COVID patient as we speak. I am the virus.
Horrifying. Patient zero amongst us, but you're going through it well.
I feel much better. It was a pretty calm week in terms of news. Like we almost struggled to get some news together to do
some
a podcast.
Material,
yeah. But we did find some stuff. So you are stuck with us for the next hour.
Unless you click next, but that's your prerogative.
It's true, but who does that? Don't be lame. I mean, so serious stuff. What do we have on the agenda this week, sir?
Go briefly. The U.S. government has hit its debt ceiling as Biden and House Republicans face off. Standard news.
Oh, shocker!
Shocker! You've said it before. That this was bound to happen with the Republicans controlling the House. But nevertheless, I don't think, the U.S. government is not going to default on its debt. That would be catastrophic for the U.S. government.
Lannister always pays his debt.
And McConnell always fucks your turtle. I think this is a bit clickbaity. Obviously, it's a problem that every time you're going to go through this. But the Republicans are going to capitulate in the end, unless the Democrats capitulate even before that and slash Medicaid or something to get the Republicans to vote. But that would be stupid for the Democrats. Because the Republicans will capitulate in the end, and they will not allow the United States government to go into default.
Or will they?
If they do that, by the way, all of us are fucked. because if the US economy goes down, we all go down.
They'll never do that. Their donors will never allow them
McConnell
to do that.
has already stated that we're not going to default, obviously. This is negotiation, boy.
But it's fun. It's fun. Like once every 6 months, you can set your clock by the fact you're going to get some little drama in Congress, and all of the journalists.
That's all they do, right? I mean, this is how they get the rocks over this.
All of the journalists just eat it up like it's hot breakfast. It's like, Jesus Christ, God, the ceiling.
Check the headlines, 100%. I mean, it's like, the apocalypse has arrived upon us. Because, a bunch of Republicans are being assholes again.
It's a shocker.
They will yield.
All right, so got the drama in the US.
Got that out of the way, yeah.
Usually gets resolved in, I'm gonna call
Few
it
weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. An excellent prognostication, Luigi.
All right. Geographically close, the shit is going down in Peru. I don't know if you've read anything. Mass protests, 53 people have died already. 58 protesters have died already. Protests have rocked Peru since President Pedro Castillo was ousted in December
We briefly mentioned him.
Yeah, after he attempted to dissolve the legislature to prevent an impeachment vote. But why are they still going on, is the question. Why don't you just get early elections?
Genuinely don't know what's happening, Luigi, in Peru.
The government has extended the state of emergency to 6 regions, curtailing civil rights, and the police is apparently using deadly firearms. So rubber ones, I guess.
Which are still often deadly.
Yeah, yeah. And then they can still leave you, I don't know, disabled or
without eyes.
Vision.
Been very fishy in Peru. Been very fishy what's been happening. I don't have comments for Peru, which I don't know enough.
Me neither. I haven't really studied what's going on, but it is intensifying, and it's getting more violent apparently as well. So
just before we leave that side of the Atlantic, have you heard about George Santos, the new congressman from New York that lies like an angel at this point?
I haven't. Please fill us in.
Jesus, a guy got elected in New York's 3rd congressional district, Long Island, who has lied about pretty much everything. He used to go around this time when he got elected telling people that he was Jewish. He's not Jewish. And then he said, I didn't say I was a Jew. I said I was Jewish, which is on another level. He has claimed his mother was in the World Trade Center in the Twin Towers during 9/11.
And wait, let me guess. She's still alive in South America or something.
She wasn't even in the States during 9/11. This guy, George Santos, a.k.a. Anthony Zabrowski, a.k.a. Anthony DeVolder, also a drag queen by the name of Kitara. We've got pictures of that as well.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious, yeah. Kitara, she's lovely, down in Brazil when he went on tour. Yeah, he's got a lot of lies. By the way, I mean, the lies are endless. He has claimed that he's worked at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, but both firms said they had no record of him.
He sounds like a fun guy.
Colleges, universities, everything has been embellished.
Let me tell you, George, I've done everything.
It's unbelievable. There's footage of him.
Did I tell you the story when I was an investment banker?
Man, there's footage of him in his last debate during the last elections where they asked the other guy, what do you like doing to, what's his family time like? And the other guy was like, we sit in sweatpants, or we eat Häagen-Dazs, always Häagen-Dazs. And then they asked Santos, and he replied the same thing in a different order. It was like, sweatpants, pints of Häagen-Dazs everywhere. And I'm like, dude, he's a chameleon. He just copies the shit he sees.
Like chameleon is a parrot, man.
It's unbelievable, dude. It's like he changed it up a bit as well. It wasn't exactly the same, but you could tell as soon as he answered, the other guy just looked at him with a "what the fuck" expression. Like, very interesting character.
This guy,
I think,
he's a Democrat.
Of course, a Republican.
Republican.
Dude,
you said New York.
Yeah, 100%. New York is, there's a lot of Republican areas in New York, especially northern New York, upstate.
All right, so we are devolving into the more bizarre.
Unbelievable. I thought it was like, when Batman started beating up people in Gotham, bad people. and then the Joker appeared, and the Joker was like, yes, Batman, it was your fault. You brought this craziness. And it's like, yeah, George Santos after Donald Trump, because Donald Trump lies about a lot of things. But he doesn't lie about his mother being in the Twin Towers during 9/11. So you've got the next version. on the next level.
The-
George
the-
Santos.
Trump, the Donny, he does hyperbole. Like it's the
Truthful
most
hyperbole.
it's the most extreme hyperbole you've ever seen. But like, there's some smithereen of truth somewhere.
He usually
there.
latches on a smidgen of truth, and then he embellishes on that, and goes insane with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a dragon in the conversation, there was probably like I don't know.
It was probably a little lizard, and it was the biggest dragon you've ever seen. But at least there was a lizard. This guy just lies about everything. It's just full on lying about everything. Like, what's the weather like? It's sunny, it's raining. He just does it. But he's been elected. He's been elected, and he's even got committee assignments. A lot of the intransigent right that badged recently after 15 votes to get McCarthy elected, they've all got committee assignments. The Titan, I think, is on the National Security Committee.
Excellent. Attack on Marjorie.
Excellent, right? Put a terrorist in there, see what happens. And then the Ways and Means Committee, a lot of them in there, very powerful committee.
The most powerful, arguably.
Yeah, they've got a lot of them in there, Matt Gates, etc. I love them. Have got a seat in there. And George Santos got a committee assignment as well. I can't remember which one it was, but all of them are because McCarthy is a hostage, because he's weak. He's weak.
Yeah, that's literally why you don't promise everybody something if they elect you. There's too many people to please.
And he has no choice now because the majority is so slim that he's got to please everybody. So all the crazy. So the circus is back in town, people.
Excellent.
And what a circus it will be.
A magnificent one.
A magnificent one. There will be fireworks for everybody.
All right, let's jump into, let's cross into Asia. I've got a really interesting headline here. So it's about China. China and the whole COVID situation. Obviously, they've reopened the economy, so they've literally done the biggest U-turn ever. We've gone from draconian, like, I'm gonna forbid you from going outside your house kind of lockdowns, to you can do whatever you want.
We don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, we don't just go out and have fun. And like, they're still reporting something like, 60,000 or something, I don't know, infections per day, which is laughable considering the size of the Chinese population. So what the government is doing is so incoherent. They're basically saying, look,
I agree with everything, Luigi, but you gotta strip yourself of your anti-China sentiment.
No,
you're too hard on China.
All right, so the government.
I need you to be unbiased, my boy.
I don't care about infections. Like, we can have as many infections as we want. I'm not gonna enforce any measures, but I'm not going to report real numbers on the infections. I'm going to tell you it's 50,000 people.
They fudge the numbers, folks. Even the Chinese people.
It's not fudging.
They fudge them a lot.
Honestly, I think they just draw a random number that's below 100,000. It's a raffle.
I think a lot of thought is put into that committee that figures out the number they're going to put up.
There's an old South Park scene where they cut the head of a chicken and the chicken lands on a random number, and they decide,
racist.
They decide what to do at that point. Why is that racist?
Racist. It's racist.
But, all right, so here's the incoherence. So the government is saying 60,000 people per day get infected, right? That's not deaths, that's infections. But at the same time, I've got a
deaths, theoretically, sorry, Luigi, should be easier to calculate, theoretically.
Of course.
Because, I mean, you've got the body, just count it.
All right, so China, I'm reading a headline here. This is from Reuters. China says COVID outbreak has infected 80% of the population. Wow. And this is from a government scientist basically saying that 80% of people have already been infected. Now, if you go with their official numbers, 0.1% of the population has been infected, not 80%. So how can you be speaking from both sides of your mouth like that?
You're covering all the bases.
it's like either nobody has been infected or everyone has been infected and everything in between. In any case, it's the incoherence that I am having trouble with. What I am not having trouble with, what I find laughable is basically every investor on God's green earth has turned bullish on China because of the reopening. And
Yeah, you've
meanwhile,
mentioned that.
yeah. I mentioned it last week. I mentioned how silly it is to expect the same thing to play out in the Western economies just because both words are called reopening. But like reopenings come in different flavors, folks, and it's a different one. It's a vastly different one in China. Anyway, what do we believe, George?
We've discussed
Government.
this. As far as we know, the vaccine, the Chinese one, is far less effective, and the vaccination rates are not as high as in the Western world, and Japan and Australia, etc.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the same reopening. Now, I don't know how much worse it's going to be and how much more protracted it's going to be. They haven't shut down yet, which means the health service has not been completely overwhelmed, I guess, which is good news. In the long run, yeah, I get it. You'd be bullish on it, but I don't know in the short run how China is going to be affected because of this as it
Yeah.
reopens.
Here's what I think is happening. So you went from extreme lockdowns to extreme, let's call it freedom, extreme freedom of movement, let's call it. But a lot of people, let's call it a lot of people our age, are looking at the whole thing and like you've been scaremongering the whole situation. Like you've been playing up this virus to keep them locked up for 3 years, and suddenly you're saying do whatever you want. And yeah,
It's not a good
you,
situation.
you've opened the door, but a lot of people are hesitant of going out because you have been making this into something bigger than it is. Therefore, the government comes out and says, look, like 80% of people have already been infected. Don't worry, go out. Like it's already happened. You're not going to get infected anymore.
You're
And
on the virus now.
yeah. So that's what I think is happening. I think the real infection number might be something close to 30% of
It's
people
not
have been infected.
80%. It's
Yeah.
not 80. I mean, who knows? But I mean, it sounds unlikely.
Yeah. And the government is just trying to paint a safe situation, but I doubt people buy that. I think a lot of Chinese people
No, I
are
agree.
wise to what's happening.
They know how seriously their government takes being in control of them. Number one priority for the Politburo. But
Commander Xi
I
must stay
wanted
in
to say
power.
about China that it has entered an era of negative population growth sooner than expected, about 10 years sooner than expected, after figures reveal the historic drop in the number of people for the first time since 1961. They're going to be overtaken by India pretty soon in terms of raw population number. And speaking on vice chairman of the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee, I don't know why the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee guy says this, but he has said that China's population has reached its peak in 2022, much earlier than expected. And an era of negative population growth, as the West knows very well, changes things in terms of how we conduct ourselves as a society. And an aging population increases the financial and social burdens, pensions, healthcare, and the main reason for this is one of the main reasons is the one-child policy. That punitive, I mean, you'd expect this, right? That punitive is having multiple children, and
it hasn't been there for a while.
But it hasn't stimulated the kind of growth that perhaps they had hoped because of other issues, basically.
The way I would urge people to think about it is when you have a growing population, you basically have something like a pyramid structure supporting your social programs, pensions, healthcare, and so on. There's a lot of younger people at the bottom of the pyramid supporting fewer people at the top of the pyramid. But if you take a society like Japan's, then it's literally the opposite. It's the pyramid, but it's flipped around, and there's a whole lot of old people that have to be supported by a smaller and smaller pool of younger people.
They've got androids in Japan that does this shit. The other issues that I was saying that Chinese people, why the birth rate has not increased, is the common issues, housing prices, welfare, education, reasons why people can't afford to have children.
Welcome to the West.
Yeah, housing prices are so expensive, no one wants to get married. Yeah. But it is problematic for China, this development, and they will have to undergo sort of a strategic contraction. And there's been Yi. Now, who is Yi? Yi, an expert on China's population changes. Yeah, genocology. Fair enough. That sort of makes sense. Said the decline in population was occurring almost a decade earlier. And China will have to improve relations with the West because it will have to adjust its social, economic, defense, and foreign policies because of this.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but it's the long term, isn't it? I mean,
very, very long
very
term.
long term, and that's what I wanted to know, that this is the long term. We're talking about something that has just started happening. In the West, it's been happening for a while. In Japan, it's been happening ever since they remember.
For 3 or 4 decades, I think it has been really acute. I mean, it's a.
But it is a game changer for an economy and the country.
Of course, it's exactly what you said. That there's stages to this game, and China is just entering the game, and Japan is almost at the final boss.
At the final bossu. Final destination, the Japanese. They're going to be androids now. At one point, someone's going to go there and going to find a big computer, and it's going to be all the Japanese in there.
I checked it up with Japan. They last year they lost, in terms of sheer numbers, 600,000 people. Now, bear in mind, it's
almost
a population.
1 million people.
It's a population of around 120 million. Yeah. So
they're pretty tightly packed in there.
Yeah, it amounts to 0.5% of the population. That's how much people they lost in a single year. That's a lot.
That's something. And they lost Abe-sama as well.
Yeah, but
the one gun death in Japan happened to be Abe last year.
What really baffles me about the Japanese is like Europe has the same problem, but we deal with it by.
We have a bit of immigration as well.
Taking immigration.
I mean, no. We don't do it 100% willingly, but it happens.
I mean, it's not a perfect solution. It's a very ugly.
Filters in here.
It's a very ugly solution, but yeah, it helps to slow down this process.
Orban has his fucking panties in a twist because of it, along with the rest, preserving the European bloodlines, etc.
But Japanese leaders have literally surrendered themselves to this.
They've made a conscious decision to die off in a controlled direction.
We will decide our own end.
The samurai go their own way.
Literally, it's a samurai solution to a modern problem. It's
you're never gonna have good sushi again. Fuck you.
I cannot train foreigners in the art of sushi.
Sushi. I go out in the sunset. Look, cherry blossom.
All right. So, staying in the region, we've got some news from New Zealand.
New Zealand, should we do just a brief reprieve and move into just for a little bit into France, into Vive la France.
Oh, France.
They did it again, folks. More than 1 million people there was a general strike in France. Train services halted. Primary schools closed. They have taken part in demonstrations, were hit by strikes at Emmanuel Macron's unpopular plans to raise the retirement age by 2 years to 64. Fuck you, Emmanuel. That's the 1.12 million people, 1.12 million people, with 80,000 taking part in the biggest rally in Paris, whole of France. They don't fuck around in France. The trade union said the figure was even higher.
Bro, I fucking love the French for the following reason. It's the only country on earth where you can get elected president, then you have massive, yellow vest protests every single weekend.
Fuck this guy. He wants to tax us.
Then you get elected again.
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, you have huge protests for like for a policy that was like the flagship policy of what he was going to do
the
in the
French
second
are
term.
very nuanced in their political understanding. I
I
mean, they
fucking
know
love
their
them.
fact. They know their fact, either choice. The fact. I remember with the Gilets jaunes, Jesus Christ, firefighters setting themselves on fire and then driving into policemen like fucking
Extreme protests.
Extreme protests in France. Bless them. I mean, they don't want to work until they're 64. What the fuck?
Yeah. By the way, really funny. Right across the river in the UK 67, the Brits would chop off one ball to get to retire.
And the poor Brits are about to get fucked again with a new anti-union law that's about to get enacted. So
Rishi passed a new law saying that a business can sue
I don't want to
union.
talk about him, Luigi. I don't like him. I don't like him.
Really funny.
Do you know what he looks like? You know what he looks like?
He got fined this week for not wearing a seatbelt.
I love the kind of police force that focuses on this shit while, you know, one of their own is a serial rapist just came out.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister.
But we will investigate
I'm
the
sorry.
Prime Minister for the seatbelt infraction. It's ridiculous, whatever, a ridiculous state of affairs. But just gonna say, Sunak, he looks like a caretaker CEO appointed by Goldman Sachs.
That's like, literally what he is.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here. I'm gonna patronize you fucks, and you know I wanna raise taxes. But you saw what happened last time, right? He's annoying. I want to talk about him. And his union, his anti-union legislation is shy.
He cracked down, like, I don't get it. Like a few weeks ago, he was the pro-people crusader for labor rights.
There are no pro-people labor rights in the Tory
second
party.
you get elected, the Goldman Sachs side, he transforms, he metamorphosizes into a fucking Goldman Sachs side and starts like crashing labor. No. He gives the public sector a 2% wage increase in a 10% inflation environment. And when the people go out to protest, he introduces new laws to crush labor rights. What a fucking, I don't know, what do you call that, Machiavellian?
You call that a Tory. You call that a Tory,
yeah.
Unfortunately, you call that a Tory. The foolishness was thinking that Tories were going to do something about workers' rights and wages.
I never thought that.
I never thought that, but Bojo kept telling them that, you know, we're going to have a high wage economy. Yeah, Bojo.
It's a high wage economy.
Yeah. Instead, we got dick. But yeah, let's move on. France, epic. England, not so much. That's the conclusion.
France, A+.
I mean, they try. I'm not going to give them A+ because it's pretty shy, but at least they fucking protest.
I'm going to give them A+ because like the protest
they love the fan.
Is like embedded into, like, it hasn't deteriorated because the new generation is softer and wants to play video games and whatever.
It's also a different story, a history of the country, a different culture growing up. I mean, when you have the French Revolution as your history, you tend to be a bit more revolutionary.
The funny part, that what I also love about the French is they can change their mind really quickly. It's like one day we love kings and kings are sent from God, and the next day we chop off their heads and we are the makers of our own destiny. It's like,
they wanted to raise taxes too much. I mean, Macron should take notes. Let's move on to New Zealand. Jacinda, yeah, the great Jacinda.
Jacinda Ardern.
I'm not going to chant because I'm devastated by her decision out of the blue.
Are you sad?
I'm very sad.
Are you sad?
Extremely sad. Profoundly sad.
So the Prime Minister of New Zealand has resigned.
Shock resignation.
Citing extreme tiredness, citing a burnout.
Yeah. Constant vilification, abuse, and personal. I mean, you know, it's an Anglophone country. I'm sure there's some papers in there that are absolute shit drivel. So I'm sure she gets attacked constantly. But yeah, it's affected Jacinda, and she's resigned. She has said, we are humans after all. I am human. Politicians are human. We give all that we can for as long as we can. And then it's time. And for me, it's time. succinct. We've got Chris Hipkins elected now.
He honestly looks like a deer in the headlights. I don't know.
He was the Minister for Education and Policing and one of the primary architects of the COVID response. But that's all we're going to mention about Hipkins. He hasn't proved us his mettle yet. If he does, we'll discuss him. But Jacinda was great.
Blonde-haired rat. Stick to that one.
Jesus Christ, so offensive. And I'm too sick, Luigi, to join in. I don't have the spring in my step today.
It's okay.
Blonde Hobbit.
I'm gonna go for that one.
But sad to see Jacinda go. That's that. And the last thing I've got, Luigi, is Alec Baldwin. He's being charged with involuntary manslaughter. The actor Alec.
Baldwin. He shot someone.
Yeah, on a set.
On a set. By accident, theoretically. He said he feels really bad.
I think 100%. I think 100%
was an accident.
An accident in the sense that he didn't want to kill her, obviously. But beyond that, there was a lot of recklessness involved, etc.
I just wanted to seem realistic.
For instance, he has claimed, Alec, that he hasn't pulled the trigger, but the FBI analysis has confirmed that the trigger was pulled. Anyway, it's a horrifying circumstance. Apparently, the safety standards were not up to par, not even close, and that has contributed. And he's being charged along with the armorer.
Shouldn't the person that was
the armorer is
charged
also being charged? I've read some lawyers interpreting this that are saying that Alec Baldwin will probably walk away, that the lawyers will have a good case, that they're basically going to point their finger at the armorer and then the guy who gave Baldwin the gun and claimed that it was cold, meaning empty. So, but he's being charged nonetheless, and we'll see what happens.
It sounds like a bit of air. It sounds like there's not much case there.
I'm impressed that they're charging him, though. They said that we wanted to let everybody know that just because you're an A-list actor, you're not going to be above the law. No, that means...
breaking the law.
I fought the law, and the law won.
Yeah, so celebrity news, what else is there?
Nothing else. I've done everything. I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done.
We can make a quick mention to Europe.
Iron Chef Sakai. The French master. The Delacroix of cuisine.
Yeah, so I guess the latest rage in Brussels is that Germany is not giving...
I think I've mentioned all the Iron Chefs now. Sorry, Luigi.
Germany refuses to give tanks to Ukraine.
I've read even
the Ukrainians are very sad.
The Ukrainians are sad. I've read even deeper than that the Germans want the Americans to also reciprocate by giving their Abrams tanks to Ukraine.
I think they haven't they?
No, not the tanks, not the Abrams tanks. And that's what's been causing a consternation to Germany about this.
Are you kidding? Like,
I know the British have given some tanks.
No, Joe is gonna give them Abrams in a hot second. It's like
he hasn't given them the Abrams though. He's given them a lot of things, but not those. And apparently, it's all Germany giving them the tanks. There's that as well. But a lot of countries like Poland, Finland have a lot of German tanks, Leopards, and they need the license from Germany to give them to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Germany is being cautious, I guess, because they don't want to attract too much of the ire of Russia. I don't know.
Plus, I think there is on the America. I mean, the Americans are giving the Patriot missiles.
Not yet, though.
Yeah, but they will.
They are a game changer if they give them that.
I think the only reason they would hesitate to give them Abrams tanks specifically is that the Abrams is the most advanced tank they have. And they generally don't share their most advanced technologies. They don't give it to anyone for fear maybe that it gets captured by Russians and, reverse engineering and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's the angle. Maybe the Americans prefer to send a lesser technology.
I have no idea. But the Leopards, that's one of the angles for Germany. Why Germany is not giving the tanks. Germany is being overly cautious. I can tell that. They don't want to be. They don't want the Russians fighting exclusively German-made tanks. They want to have some American tanks sprinkled in there as well.
It seems that the Ukrainians are getting ready for a major counter-offensive. Like the conflict has been a bit frozen
It's
lately.
been frozen because the weather has been frozen.
Yeah,
and now as it slowly melts into spring, we're gonna have renewed hostilities.
Yeah. By the way, it's been the warmest winter in Europe,
Yeah,
I guess, in recorded history.
possibly. Yeah.
By the way, that's a huge blessing because, like,
A
with the weather.
temporary blessing before we all burn to fucking hell.
No.
Yes.
Let the put the war aside for 1 second. We had an energy crisis in Europe. There
But
is
it's
you
yeah.
stopped hearing about that. Is the warmer weather?
Yeah. The warm weather, that's what saved us from exorbitant gas prices.
Precisely.
Exorbitant gas prices.
Exorbitant, comrade. Da, pay me.
Pay us triple if you want to have your lights on.
All right, the final thought on all of this. Davos is going on, the World Economic Forum in Switzerland.
The globalists have amassed again.
Where
Take them out!
That's where your corporate overlords go during the winter to greet each other and plot the dominance of the world. Yes, we will. Yes, Rishi.
Yeah.
You should introduce a new law, Rishi, that allows us to sue the unions. Yes, Rishi.
Good, Rishi.
So yeah, I
what do you want to say about the wankers at Davos?
Nothing that I usually monitor it. I just try to see what the wankers say year
We've got
over
our
year.
sights on it.
It's a particularly bad year because you keep hearing the same platitudes and
it's
the same
always fucking cliche bullshit.
Yeah.
Literally.
I just wanted to express how
we
lame
need
they are.
sustainable development. We need to. They're talking about the renewables as well, aren't they?
Every other breath.
I love that because they're all fucking.
They all go there in fucking expensive jets, and their carbon footprint is like 100 times the average person.
It's probably a billion times the average person, exactly. And they're all incestuous with all the fossil fuel companies. It's all fucking ridiculous.
And then they've got
some kind of it's some kind of self-help retreat that they all go to. They go to the retreat so they can all fucking pat themselves on the back and wank off with each other about how great they are.
I'm greener than you. Look at my green penis. It's longer.
We care so much. That's why we're fucking everybody else over. Because we care.
The top comment for this is apparently in that small city in Switzerland.
Yeah.
It's
always Switzerland.
They have to fly in, apparently, allegedly, thousands of hookers for every Davos event.
They're probably millions.
Because you need entertainment by the fireplace at night. I mean, you can't wank off to a movie.
And for God's sake, we need some blackmail material. So we can make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Everything works smoothly.
And the plan is
Rishi, I'm looking at
the
you,
unions. Fuck the unions. That's the plan, boy.
A happy, cheerful note to end with, sir.
Yes. Bless. Hail Soros.
The globalists.
I love it.
I love
that the right wingers have found one billionaire they don't like. Just one. They like everyone else. Just one. Incidentally, he's Jewish as well.
Now we also
ridiculous, right?
You also have
biggest Muppets on the fucking planet.
You also have the Crypto Kid now. Like, he used to be a boogeyman for a little bit, and now, like, the fall from grace was so spectacular.
Excuse me, Luigi, the cryptocurrency guru. You know about what was it? SBF.
The soon-to-be cryptocurrency fuckboy.
I love his stick. The stick is, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Bro, what leverage? New words. What's leverage?
I just play video games. What the fuck? Well, you can't put the shit in your hedge fund and just do whatever you want with it. No, dude. Unfortunately, no.
That was a fun story too. By the way, he's not in jail yet. We don't know what the sentence is going to be, but I was surprised that, I thought that being the biggest donor to the Republican Party would buy
And
you, would be a
the
get out of jail.
Democratic, both parties.
Yeah, of both parties. Well, I think he was the second biggest of the Republican, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I thought it would be a get out of jail free card, but apparently somebody in Congress found the balls. They understood how bad it would look.
Thankfully, Luigi, I think the collapse played a part. Thankfully, it fucking collapsed before they got regulated as they wanted, because then it would be the taxpayer dime on it.
Exactly.
And that would be catastrophic. So that this guy can live with 8 sex slaves in the Bahamas. Jesus Christ, people. We're not going to fund his sex escapades for
the crypto community. The crypto community.
The crypto community is a vibrant, beautiful community.
Has lost its mind over this. So hear me out. It started like, we don't need a government to regulate us. Decentraland is amazing.
Yeah. The blockchain holds my testicles.
It literally ended with, this would have never happened if the government regulated this.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. We need the right regulation. Yeah. Excellent. They figured it out. They've matured as an industry enough to understand how this shit is being played.
It's
but it's ridiculous because they just remind me of the timeshare guys before them and whatever. It's just the same fucking pyramid scheme.
But dude, I mean, Matt Damon said it.
Yeah,
Matt Damon said I should grab life by the balls.
Yeah, bless him, bless Matt Damon. But it's so ridiculous. Most of these schemes are just pump and dump schemes. They just fucking use the money. They just hype this shit up, so you give them money, and then they immediately cash out with your money. That's what they're doing, and you're giving them your money. Fucking idiots on Twitch.
All right, a happy, cheerful note.
Happy, cheerful note for January. Beautiful January. That we're sick. We're sick because it's viral season.
We're sick in the brain.
We've been sick in the brain for a long time. but now we're sick in the body as well.
It's gonna pass. These too shall pass.
Everything passes. From dust to dust, people. Positive messaging of the week.
All righty. Great to hear you. Thank you to everybody.
Great to hear you all.
And the end.
Yeah, love you. Love everybody. See you.
Peace.